much more significant, both in the relation to some of the issues that they bring and potential impacts on the coast, as well as how people actually move around within the region. When it comes to issues, the small vessel transportation, as well as large vessels, bring issues related to erosion. The erosion of heritage values was considered a particularly important issue. There's a lot of discussion about that, as well as the fact that small vessels, as well as large vessels, are bringing in invasive species. Safety, especially related to small vessel transportation, is an issue on the coast. There was an issue related to the data quality, which ties to how the vessel movement data is tracked or provided. With marine transportation, there was some discussion around oil spills and an effective response to potential for oil spills, and we're not just talking large Exxon Valdez scale oil spills, but small, 10 liters or 20 liters or 100 liters that happen on a fairly frequent occurrence, and they have very localized impact, and there's not a mechanism in place to address that, or effective mechanism. An issue of man-made structures, potentially new man-made structures, and that impact on marine traffic. The DFO capacity to regulate marine traffic, or the ability to regulate. The influence, there were some issues that were brought up related to the report, so there was a desire for us to include the measure of the influence on the local community for BC Ferry spending. Talking about the 200-mile limit and the boundaries of the study, marine dumping is an issue. Garbage on the coast. There's a lot of garbage that gets dumped outside of the particular Pensima boundary that ends up on the shore. So there's a lot of cross influence there. There was an issue that there's a lot of informal costs that are not measured, or I guess the term invisible was brought up. The last major issue is a lack of engagement of Transport Canada within the process, and that's directly related to the marine transportation. I think that covers that. And if I have missed anything, please please speak up.
The point that was on the previous page about the fact that it's not being measured or recorded in the report, the very bottom line.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, there was actually a lot of discussion about the need to measure benefits and full costing of the issues. So there's some costing information, but the full costing, both from a cumulative impacts point of view, as well as from all industries, as well as cumulative over time. Some of the trends that were identified is increase of large vessel traffic is directly equatable to an increase in erosion on the coast. The impact of existing traffic on the coast isn't well documented or well measured, so it's difficult to go identify the trends when you don't know what the existing impact is. There's some concern that the report doesn't detail enough about proposed routes for new traffic. So we need some more detailing about the potential increase in traffic from, say, the Enbridge proposal, how that's going to relate to other potential increases in trends. There's a desire to consider long-term costs and look behind the trends. What's driving the increase in traffic? What's driving the trends? What are the implications behind that? When it comes to the interactions, there's a number of interactions related to marine transportation. It's what ties the coast together. We identified that the float plane transportation is an interaction with marine transportation. The recreational fisheries, the tourism, the fisheries has a significant interaction with marine transportation, small vessels. There's cumulative impacts from transportation from commercial and recreational and small boat and large boat. There's interactions in that area. Interactions from outside of Pensema, the influence of garbage we talked about. There's trying to remember what that point was related. The direct traffic, need to manage direct traffic to avoid conflict with other industries. So there's marine transportation that happens up and down the coast, and potential for conflict with industries, say the crab industry, which puts traps down. And there's need to manage the interactions around that. Vessels of opportunity, there's an opportunity to do research to fill in data gaps through vessels that are out there on 100 days of the year, that you could use those vessels to collect information on things like ocean acidification and increase of temperature and so on and so forth. How people live need to be taken into account in the report. The invisible data we talked about, the interactions of how you live and how that impacts marine transportation. Fishing lodges we talked about before with garbage. The cost of impact of transportation on other values. So the interaction between transportation and other values such as heritage. Need to make sure that when we're looking at marine transportation, that we're not just considering large vessel transportation, but the influence of small craft harbors, boat launches, airplane, water aerodromes, and those types of things are a major component of marine transportation on the coast, and they are all tied and interrelated together. Future restrictions on carbon emissions, international agreements, and those types of things are likely to have an impact on marine transportation in the future. So there's interactions between those international agreements and what actually happens on the ground on the coast. And there's also concern that certain values on the coast can take an increased risk, whereas other values might not be as healthy, and the risk of increasing marine transportation might have a higher potential for risk on those values.
Thanks, Dave. And I should remind people that one of the reasons why we are doing the report out is for the people who are in the other breakout sessions, but also for the people who aren't here. And so if you have a comment about something you think might be missing from one of the breakout sessions that you didn't attend, then I'd like to at least give you the mic so that we can record in your words if you think there are any gaps. So
I can talk real loud, so I don't care what we don't do. Marine radar. Lack of radar control. We've got all the shipping, we've got big increases. We are probably the only major shipping portal area that doesn't have radar control.